Hello friend, and welcome to your yoga class. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I put out a new yoga video, but I've been in the process of moving, hence the new space, if you can tell. But today I have a heart opener and shoulder opener flow for you, coming back into the flow of things. I'm going to try to keep it nice and short today. This is going to be for all levels. I will offer modifications and we won't need any props, but feel free to bring along any blocks or any blankets that you might have or anything that helps you on your mat. You know your body best. Today we're going to begin in a cat-cow. So coming onto your hands and knees, stack your hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. And we'll start by dropping the belly. Take a big inhale in through the nose. And stay here for the exhale, sigh it out through the mouth. Pull the shoulders away from the ears. One more inhale, fill up the belly. And exhale, start to tuck your chin into your chest, round through your upper back. Stay here for the inhale, push away from the mat, and exhale again, stretching through that upper neck. Inhale, lift your chest, lift your chin, drop your belly, and exhale, round through your upper back. Inhale, cow pose, lift your gaze, drop the belly, drop the chest, push the collarbones forward, and exhale, push away from the mat. Maybe shake your head yes, shake your head no. A couple more times, moving with your own breath. Good. From here, come back to tabletop position. Ground down through your left hand and start to lift your right hand up to the sky, trying to stack your right shoulder on top of your left shoulder. Move your hips around to whatever feels best here. One more inhale. And on your next exhale, you're going to thread that right arm underneath your left, coming onto your right ear, right shoulder. Right fingertips are pointing towards the left wall, left side of the room. Option to walk your left fingertips up, straight up towards the front of the mat. Another option is to take them diagonal, so maybe walk them over to the right corner of your mat. And a third option is to take your left hand and bring it around your low back. So maybe finding a gentle bind here. Double check that your hips are level. Wherever you are, take one big inhale. And on your next exhale, maybe twist a little deeper. Walk your hand back underneath your left shoulder. Push yourself up, returning to tabletop position. And then take your left hand and bring it up to the sky, stacking your left shoulder over top of your right. On your next exhale, you're going to thread that left hand, left arm underneath your right, and bring your left ear, left shoulder to the ground. From here, option to walk your right arm up to the front of the mat, or option to take it over to the left corner of your mat, that is. Find whatever variation feels good here for you, and then double check that your hips are level so that they're in line and that your hips are not bumping out maybe to the right or anywhere else. And then that third option is to bring your right arm below your low back, maybe finding a gentle bind here. Inhale, fill up the low belly. And exhale, maybe twist a little deeper, opening up the heart towards the right side of the wall now, or the right side of the room. And then bring your right hand underneath your right shoulder. Push yourself back up to tabletop position. Bring your left hand underneath your left shoulder now. And then drop your elbows to replace where your wrists were. So we're coming onto our forearms. From here, walk your knees back as far as you can until you feel a gentle stretch through the upper back, through the shoulders. One big inhale. Drop your forehead to the mat maybe. And exhale. Maybe open up your heart space a little bit. Let your heart melt towards the floor. Inhale, fill up the low belly. And exhale, maybe your chest drops a little closer to the ground. Continue to breathe here through this challenging pose. Rotate your inner biceps out towards either side of the wall. Rotate your inner elbows towards the sky. Push into the tops of your hands here. One more inhale. And exhale, start to lift your head, bring your shoulders over your elbows and roll through, bringing your hips now onto the ground, coming into a Sphinx pose. Move in whatever way feels best here. So maybe move your elbows a little bit closer to the front of the mat if you need a little bit more space here. Ground your hip bones into the mat. Press into the tops of your feet so that your knees lift just a little bit, engaging through your feet. Pull your belly up, pull your belly button up and in towards your spine to help protect your low back. Lift your chest and then energetically draw your elbows closer to those hips and drawing your hips towards the elbows. So finding that pulling sensation towards the center of your body, towards the center line. Inhale, lift the chest a little more, widen through the collarbones. And exhale to release. Bring your elbows wide and then maybe just bring yourself onto the ground. Bring your forehead onto the mat and bring your hands back by your side ribs. On the next inhale, you're going to just lift your chest, very little to no weight in your hands. And exhale to lower back down. Once more, inhale to lift the chest using your back muscles as much as you can, keeping your chin tucked here. And exhale to release back down to the floor. For this next one, you're going to walk your fingertips wide, so maybe off of your mat or to either side of your mat. Bring your elbows towards the sky, so have them point towards the sky. Very little to no weight in your fingertips. And on the inhale, again, lift your chest, keeping the chin tucked here. Option to open up the chin and maybe look or gaze forward. And exhale back down to the ground, forehead rest on the ground. We're going to do that one more time. On your next inhale, lift your chest. Keep your hip bones pressed into the mat. Little to no weight in your hands. Elbows point towards the sky. And exhale back down. Actually, let's do that one more time. On your inhale, lift up, elbows towards the sky, and then pull your shoulder blades back towards one another on this last one to help you open up a little bit more. And exhale back down to the ground. Good. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders again, and we'll push up into a tabletop position. Bring your knees underneath your hips. Hands can be a little bit forward from your shoulders. Tuck the toes. Inhale to get centered again, and exhale to lift the knees and lift the hips up towards the sky. Downward facing dog. If this is your first downward dog of the day, this is your first yoga practice, maybe take a little bit of time to pedal out the feet, bending one knee and then the other to warm up through the back of the legs, through the hamstrings. And then once you return to stillness, keep a slight bend in both of the knees. Tailbone lifts up towards the sky as if it were hanging like a chandelier from your tailbone. Push away from the mat with your hands. Inner elbows rotate towards the front of the room, pressing down through all 10 knuckles, especially that pointer finger, knuckle, and thumb. Bend your knees slightly, just a little bit more. On your next inhale, you're going to gaze forward, come out of the down dog a little bit, and then as you exhale, slowly tiptoe your hands, or walk, or step, or hop to meet, or tiptoe your feet, or bring your feet up to meet the backs of your hands. Feet can be hip width apart here, or they can be touching. On the inhale, we're going to halfway lift. Bring your hands up to your shins or your upper thighs. Flat back, parallel to the floor. Tuck your chin to create some space through the back of the neck. Stay here for the exhale. Inhale again, breathe into the low belly, and exhale to forward fold. Maybe taking a chance here, a little bit of time to explore this forward fold. Maybe grabbing opposite elbows, coming into a ragdoll, and swaying from side to side, but keeping that movement small. Press into all four corners of the feet evenly. Spread through all 10 toes. And just let your shoulders and your head relax with the pull of gravity. On your next inhale, you're going to plant your hands and step both feet back, coming into a plank pose. Stack your hips in line with your shoulders, heels over top of the balls of the feet. Inhale, stay strong, push away from the mat. And then on the exhale, option to drop the knees onto the floor and then lower all the way down to the ground. Forehead touches the ground. From here, take whatever variation of cobra or baby cobra that you'd like. So maybe you bring your hands back by your ribs, or maybe you take them out to the sides. Inhale to lift your chest and lift your chin just slightly. Maybe lift your gaze if you're ready for that. Exhale back down. We're going to do that a few more times to keep getting warmed up through the upper back. Press your hips into the mat, your hip bones. Press the tops of the feet into the mat, and maybe your knees lift off the mat a little bit. Inhale, little to no weight on your hands, and lift the chest. Maybe try to actually lift your hands up off the floor this time to see how much weight you're actually putting on them. And exhale, come back down to the ground. Feel free to change up your variations. Inhale to lift the chest, tuck the chin, and then maybe lift the chin a little bit more. Also play around with that wherever feels good for you in your body. Exhale back down to the ground. One more time, inhale. And exhale back down to the ground. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Lift up to tabletop position. Tuck the toes under. Rotate your inner elbows towards the front of the room. And then lift your hips for downward facing dog. From here, ground down through that left foot. Keep a slight bend in both knees. And lift the right leg up high. Right heel comes up to the sky, keeping your hips as level as you can. Inhale. And exhale, bring that right knee in towards your chest, towards your nose. Drop that right foot to the ground and then heel toe it up in between your hands. Drop that back left knee coming into a low lunge. You can keep the toes tucked under here or flat. Inhale to lift your torso up off of your thigh. And then once you're in this low lunge, maybe come out of it a little bit. Bring your hips to be level. Lift your arms up to the sky, or option to just leave them resting. But the important factor here is to lift your chest. If your arms are up to the sky, I invite you to interlace your fingers, except for that pointer finger and thumb. So maybe you're pointing up towards the sky. And then as you exhale, maybe sink your hips a little lower to the ground and lift your chest. If your arms are up above your head, use that pointer finger to point back towards the back corner of the room. Inhale, lift the chest, lift the heart. Exhale, sink the hips a little closer to the ground. On your next exhale, release your fingers to the ground. Plant that left hand next to your right foot and bring your right arm over top, fingertips to reach to the sky. Stacking your right shoulder over top of your left shoulder. And exhale, release that arm back down. Inhale to lift your arms up overhead once again. And exhale, bring your right arm behind you and your left fingertips to point in front of you. So you're coming into this gentle twist. Inhale, reach the crown of the head up towards the sky. Get long through the spine. Exhale to twist a little deeper. Inhale, come out of it, arms up to the sky, and then release them back down to your feet. Bring your right foot or right knee back to meet your left, coming into a tabletop position once again. And from here, you're going to tuck the toes under, lift the knees, and then lift the hips for downward facing dog. Grounding down through all 10 knuckles and grounding down to the balls of your feet. Your heels can be lifted, knees bent. Push into that right foot this time and lift your left heel towards the sky. Toes point down, hips are level. Inhale, and then exhale to bring that left knee in towards your chest or your nose, and then to drop it. Heel toe it up in between your hands. Drop that back right knee. Keep the back toes tucked under here or keep them flat. On your next inhale, you're going to lift your arms, lift your torso up off of your chest. And then again, option to leave your arms down by your sides here. Come out of it a little bit, check that your hips are level. And from here, we're going to lift the chest. Maybe interlacing the fingers if you did that last time, pointing up. And then aiming to take your fingertips towards the back corner, lifting your heart space. Inhale, reach up through the crown of the head, lift the heart, and exhale, maybe sink the hips a little deeper. And then exhale, on your next exhale, release your hands to the mat. Plant your right hand next to your left foot and lift your left arm up towards the sky, stacking your left shoulder over top of your right shoulder. Inhale and exhale to bring it back down. From here, you're going to lift your torso up once more. Inhale, lift both arms. And then exhale, take your left arm back behind you, fingertips point towards the back of the mat. And then your right arm comes out in front, fingertips point towards the front. Gentle twist here. On the other side, inhale, reach up through the crown of your head. And exhale to twist a little deeper and maybe sink your hips a little closer to the ground. Inhale, back up. And exhale, hands to the ground. Bring your left foot, left knee to meet your right. From here, take a child's pose to bring the knees as wide as the mat or knees together, and then bring your toes to touch. Bring your hips towards your heels, sitting on your heels, and then walk your arms towards the front of the mat, releasing your forehead and your chest. Take a moment to reconnect with your breath, returning to the sensations in your body. Are you noticing any other areas that are feeling a little love or like they need a little extra attention? When you're ready, bring your hands underneath your shoulders and lift yourself back up to a tabletop position. Bring your knees together, maybe keep them a little bit hip width apart, but coming on to your knees. So if you have low back problems, maybe be extra gentle in this next pose. You're coming into a camel pose, or maybe just skip this and go into a child's pose, or meet me in a seated pose while we do this, or take whatever variation of any of the poses that we did earlier. But bringing your knees hip width apart, bringing your hands to your low back, almost as if you were wearing jeans and you were putting your hands into your back pockets. Start to draw your shoulder blades back towards one another. Your elbows will naturally also draw back towards one another. And then start to energetically draw your elbows towards one another. Use your hands on your low back to start pushing your hips forward, but also keeping your low back stable, making sure that you're not bending through your low back. So on the inhale, start to sink in, pushing your hips forwards, keeping your hips stacked over top of your knees, keeping your chin tucked here to start. Elbows draw back towards one another, heart lifts up towards the sky, and then you start to find a gentle bend through your upper back. From here, you have the option to bring your hands onto your heels if they're accessible, but remember to prioritize keeping your hips stacked over top of your knees and keeping stable through that low back. And remember to start out with your chin tucked here, and then maybe I invite you to open up your chin, open up your throat, and see how that feels with that back bend. But wherever you are, once you're ready to come out of it, bring your hands back up to your low back, and then sit your hips onto your heels. Feel free to attempt or to try that camel pose again if that feels good, but we're going to move on to some just final forward folds and twists to counter some of the heart openers and shoulder openers that we did earlier today. So bringing your feet out towards the front of the mat, straight out in front of you, coming onto your sits bones. Flexing the toes back, you're going to get tall through your spine first, reach the crown of the head up towards the sky, maybe lift your arms to help with this, and then exhale while keeping that length through the back. Bend at your hips, not your waist, so bend as far as you can, trying to keep that low belly as close to your upper thighs as you can. And then drop your arms wherever they fall, so if they touch your feet or your ankles or your shins, and then keep a generous bend in the knees here, or a slight bend at least. Inhale to reach through the crown of your head, maybe come out of the forward fold a little bit, and on the exhale, sink in. So continue with those little micro movements, or with just sitting here in this stretch for a few more breaths. Option to close the eyes and keep the chin slightly tucked here to keep with that length through the spine, keeping that energy from the base of the spine up towards the crown of the head, reaching out. Filling up the low belly with the inhales and using the exhales to maybe relax within this pose a little more, dropping the shoulders away from the ears. And then on your next inhale, come back up, roll back up, bend that right knee and bring the right sole of the foot next to your inner right thigh or to your inner right knee or inner shin. So wherever that feels good within your body, inhale, lift your arms up towards the sky, and exhale to twist just with your torso as far as you can with your own ability, and then release your arms to fall where they are. So from here, maybe you hug that right knee, bringing your fingertips, your right fingertips maybe back behind you. Inhale, reaching up through the crown of the head, and exhale to maybe twist a little deeper in this pose. Inhale, and exhale, twist. On your next inhale, release, come back to center. Keep your arms up above overhead or bring them to the ground. Extend your right leg and then bend that left knee. Bring the left sole of the foot next to your inner right leg. So whether that's your shin, your knee, or your inner thigh. From here, inhale, lift your arms up to the sky, ground down through both sits bones, and then twist towards your left wherever you twist to, and then drop your arms wherever that is. Maybe hug onto that right knee, reach up through the crown of your head, straight line of energy from your sits bones up through the base of the spine and then up through the crown of your head. And exhale to twist maybe a little deeper. Inhale, both arms up, release, and extend both legs out straight out in front of you. From here, feel free to take a final Baddha Konasana, or feel free to just come into a seated pose. But that is where I leave you today. I hope that a lot of these stretches helped open up through the heart space and through the shoulder area. Feel free to combine this with any other yoga flows, either before or after, or to keep this in your daily routine to help keep that heart space open and keep those shoulders open and a little less tense or tight. Let me know how this went for you down in the comments. If you like this video, please send it to anyone who you think might enjoy it. Leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today, friends. From my heart to yours, sending love and light. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.